There's a theory that's basically called keeping up with the Joneses. Keeping up with the Joneses mean the Jones are your neighbors next door,
Hmm.
and you wanna keep up with them because if they go on holidays to Hawaii, wait, they go to Hawaii and I go to a town 100 miles from here. What's wrong with me? What did I do wrong that I cannot afford to go to Hawaii? And they're going to Hawaii. So the whole structure of keeping up with what other people do is very important in marketing. So one of the critic things here in this book is forget about price for a minute. Think about what does your tribe want from you, because they're there and they will probably be ready to pay you more and make you profitable if you follow exactly what they want. If you say exactly
Right.
the way you want them to, the way they want you to be communicating with them.
Welcome to Vibrant Publishers Podcast. Our guest for today is Pablo, who is a seasoned executive with over 25 years of experience in marketing and management. He is a student of renowned marketing expert Philip Kotler. Pablo's career spans roles in sports retail, brand management, consulting in Europe, and as president of Alsa Commercial Real Estate. Pablo holds a bachelor's degree from UNT Argentina and pursued his MBA from JL Kellogg School of Management, Northwestern University. Our topic for today is consumer behavior. Pablo's latest book, Consumer Behavior Essentials, will be out soon, so stay tuned for that and enjoy the podcast. So, welcome to the podcast, Pablo.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Nicole. I'm very pleased to be here. So I hope we can have an awesome podcast together.
Awesome. So your new book, Consumer Behavior, is going to come to market soon, and our
Yes.
topic for today is the same, which is we're going to be decoding consumer behavior. So
Yes.
it would be a great place to start with if you could explain to the audience in simple terms why is it such a critical component for businesses.
I think we are in this is the best time in history to develop consumer history theory, because we can merge all the theory behind consumer behavior from marketing, from psychology, from sociology, and today with social media, small and medium-sized businesses and growing businesses and professionals with social media are able to explore and extract all the advantages of having a clear strategy related to consumer behavior, because consumer behavior in the past was very limited to the communication media that was available in the market. You
Hmm.
know, large companies could very well use it, like the Gillettes of the world, like the P&Gs of the world, which, by the way, they're the same company today. Like large companies were able to use consumer behavior through television, through movies, through magazines, through newspapers. But the rest of the companies in the world were basically left aside from that possibility. If you had a medium-sized company in, say, anywhere in the world, let's not put a country to it, it was very difficult to communicate all those details. But today, we can definitely be able to use that knowledge to our company's advantage and get the best and the most profitable possibilities out of the market. So this is the reason why today this theory that was out there in the market can be fully applied by basically anybody. Probably even like these professionals that are independent in their offices working throughout the world. I mean, lawyers, psychologists, architects. All these people can use these ideas of consumer behavior and get a full advantage of their businesses, and make them boom, by the way.
Okay. Uh, got it. And so, if you were mentioning that consumer behavior, it is a mixture of a lot of different fields such as psychology, sociology,
Yeah,
there's economics. How does those interdisciplinary roots affect consumer behavior?
I think one of the strongest ideas that I bring in the book was an idea developed in the 90s by Professor Robert Jewar at JL Kellogg School.
Hmm.
He was sourcing some of his ideas from sociology or anthropology, by the way. And he said that even today, human beings belong to tribes, that we all belong to
Okay.
tribes. If you go to Africa or if you go to Asia, where there's still some populations living in a tribal world, you could see that these people differentiate one from the other by very subtle details, and but not so subtle details, by the way. Those subtle details may be a tattoo that differentiates one person from the other living like 10 miles away in a different village. So these guys have a tattoo that differentiates these two people, and they could tell, I belong to tribe A, you belong to tribe B. There are some other not so subtle details, like, sometimes languages, sometimes music, sometimes
Hmm.
culture, sometimes many different things, the way they dress. So if you take that idea of tribes and think and apply to today's world and say, how am I part of a tribe? Well, if you like manga, this comic books from basically from Japan, that originated from Japan. The
Hmm.
guys that follow that, they are a tribe
Hmm.
because they're totally different in the way whenever they speak, and I'm familiar with that from a personal experience. Whenever they speak about it, they have their own language, they have their own histories, they have a specific way of relating to one another. If you talk to people, I mean, tribes, the professor at that time used to say, well, the guy that buys a BMW belongs to a tribe that is different from a guy that buys a Mercedes. And that's true, because these people, the guy that drinks a specific brand of rum is different from a guy that drinks a specific brand of vodka. They belong to different tribes. They like these different things, and along this consumption, along this product consumption, this service consumption, comes a lot of information related to that. So whenever you think that your clients belong to a tribe, you start thinking, what makes a tribe a tribe? What makes it real as a tribe? Well, is there any language that they particularly use? Are there words that they use? If you think of PlayStation users, well, they have words. They have brands. They have games that they follow with passion, and so they have words that belong to them. They like to be dressed in a specific way, because tribe usually means that they have that there is a dress code, if you want to call it that way. And so there's language, there's dress code, there's history. There are events that they follow, like for example, there's a launch of a new version of a game. These guys know exactly when that's going to be taking place and who's going to be presented. If it is a new iPhone, well, these people follow this presentation online because they know Tim Cook, who is iPhone CEO,
Hmm.
is going to be introducing a new iPhone, and they know which are the features that this new iPhone is going to bring. So if you can determine, if you can understand who who is your tribe, you are going to be able to serve them very efficiently and get their loyalty. And you have to be the tribe is basically a new name for target. We may talk about what a target is, but a tribe and a target is basically the same thing. But the way we used to define in marketing what a target was, if you define it under the format of a tribe, is it has a lot, it has many more nuances, many more details that are very important to be taken into account. One very important issue for small and medium-sized companies, and it's basically real for everybody. If you just sell on price and you say,
Hmm.
well, my customers are the ones that want the best deals, the best prices. Okay, you should have a model, you should have a business model that makes you profitable selling at a low price. If you don't have a business model that makes you profitable at a low price, well, you're doomed because you will never be profitable. So going after the best price is like the a questionable strategy if you don't change your business model. So if you change your business model and have a very efficient business model and have an edge in terms of any marketing related demand from a consumer perspective, then you have more freedom to move in the market and be able to charge a reasonable price for your product or service and be able to be profitable. Okay. So one of the critic things here in this book is forget about price for a minute. Think about what does your tribe want from you, because they're there and they will probably be ready to pay you more and make you profitable if you follow exactly what they want. If you say exactly
Right.
the way you want them to, the way they want you to be uh, communicating with them, with the futures, with the moments that they're more important for them. I mean, it's a whole new mindset in terms of how to communicate with the market. As I said, 20 years ago, this was like a wow, what a beautiful concept, but it's so hard to use, how to use it, or to put it in perspective, or to apply it or implement it. But today you have Instagram, you have
Right.
TikTok, you have Facebook, if you will. I mean, there's so many ways to communicate with your target and say, I'm part of your tribe and I'm ready to serve you and give you the best product, or give you the best alternative in the market. So, as you can see, your question is, what are the fields of knowledge that we use in market? Well, this field of knowledge is based on sociology. This field
Hmm.
of knowledge is based on anthropology, but we also use a lot of knowledge based on psychology. There's a lot of people from the psychology world, working in marketing, because
Right.
we want to understand how the consumer thinks, not from a clinical perspective. We are not we're not there to heal their minds. We're there to understand how to serve them better. You know, so this is basically the concept.
Right. Got it. And so there's a lot of data that companies will get when they start studying the behavior of their tribes or the consumers. So how can the companies effectively use this data to
That's a
put it in
wonderful
perspective,
question.
use it in their marketing plan?
Yes, that's a wonderful question. One of the new things in the market that we can use, because it's out there and available, and not very expensive, is to use strategic market research.
Okay.
Market research used to be thought of as a concept for large companies. Um, you have today, through the internet, again through social media and through different platforms like Google Docs or like SurveyMonkey, you can have a lot of information from your consumer, quick and inexpensive and efficient. SurveyMonkey, for instance, is a platform that I use a lot and that I teach my students in college to use it. SurveyMonkey is a system, it's a platform that enables companies, small, medium-sized, or large, medium companies, to do some marketing research and to understand their customer needs and customer wants very efficiently, very inexpensive. So you can make a lot of questions to your clients very quickly and understand what their thought process is about your product. So in the book, I say that I take the image of the of a physician in the past and a physician today. The physician in the past in tribes used to be the witch. You know, the witch had a lot of knowledge, like thousands of years of knowledge, hundreds of years of knowledge, and they would look at you and say, "Nakul, you should take this herb because it's going to help you with your stomach." And this was
Hmm.
all based on knowledge. There was no formal science behind it, and there were no tests behind it.
Hmm.
Today, a physician has evolved from that to what a physician is today. They have many years of knowledge, many years of knowledge, and you go to their offices, and they will tell you, "Well, I need this test to be done to understand what is your problem before giving you a pill." So we have evolved from 100% history, 100% folklore, to a very data-driven decision making in the medical field. We in marketing have to leave aside this. I know the market, so I know what my customers want, to a more data-driven decision. I think I know what the customers want, but I'm going to ask them. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to come to my office and I'm going to have 200 replies to my questions. And I'm going to be more certain about what these people want and what these people don't want from me.
So even if you
So
know the market, the main thing is to still ask your consumers and do a survey.
if you think that you are a professional marketer, you need data. If you use data, you are a marketing professional. If you don't use data, you look a lot like a marketing witch,
Yeah,
somebody that has hundreds of years of, decades of experience. I know my business because I've been in the market for 40 years. That doesn't pay any longer,
right.
because in 40 years doesn't mean that your business is going to be available, running, and being profitable 40 more years.
Hmm.
You need to understand what the trends are. Where are my clients buying from? Today, this guy in Mumbai, they can buy the manga directly from Japan and bypass all the marketing channels available out there. The distributor, the importer, the retail shop, they can go directly there. You need to understand that. What do these people want so that they can get back into my store, into my shop? And that's probably what is called an experience marketing of experiences. Is that the concept where people go to a store not only to buy something but also to have an experience.
Hmm.
Probably the most widely known example of marketing experience is Starbucks. The world was drinking
Yeah.
coffee before Starbucks existence, but now you can have a sofa in a store. You can have nice music, but you can have a nice smell in the place, a wonderful decoration, expensive coffee, by the way, because
Yeah,
it's expensive,
definitely.
but people enjoy it because they go there for experience. They don't go only for the coffee; they go for the experience. And coffee stores throughout the world, Italy included, because they are supposed to be the coffee masters of the world, they're changing. If you go to Italy, A coffee used to be like an euro coffee. Today a coffee in Starbucks is like 3 to 4 euros. So it's a 300% upgrade in terms of pricing. Why people are buying something this more expensive? Well, there are many reasons for that. One is they know what the market wants.
Hmm.
They know very well what the market wants in terms of experience. And these are what are called affordable luxuries. You know, maybe people cannot afford Gucci. Maybe people cannot afford a Ferrari, but they can afford a Starbucks coffee once in a while because it's an affordable luxury. Just $4 normally
Right.
doesn't make a lot of difference if you do it once in a while. And the more money you have, the more frequently you can do it. But nonetheless, this is also a concept talk that I speak in the book, which is experience marketing. So this is it. Starbucks is not very successful in Japan, for instance, because Japanese coffee stores have an even better experience. So
Okay.
in specific markets, they even have to improve whatever they have available for other markets as well. And there are copies from all over the world. Recently, I visited um, a very interesting concept by a Colombian company, which is called Juan Valdez. Juan Valdez is supposed to be the
What is it called?
person. Juan Valdez.
Okay.
Juan Valdez is supposed to be the name of a typical coffee growing peasant from Colombia. It's been there
Hmm.
for many, many years. So this company has taken the name and exported the Colombian coffee culture, the Colombian coffee experience, and they're doing it in Latin America, and they're growing very much. So the question is this enough as a concept, to compete against Starbucks? Just to say I'm from Colombia, is that enough? It has a different color, it has a different mood, it has a different vibe.
Hmm.
It's more Latin America. Is it gonna be enough? Well, it looks like it's interesting enough for certain tribes, for certain markets, but I'm not sure this is going to be taking off in the US or other markets as well. So you have like country based versions of Starbucks. You have this Colombian version of Starbucks. Um, you have Costa coffee in Europe, which is supposed to be an Italian version of Starbucks. It's very, very popular in the UK. I think they have a great product. They have a great service, and they are doing well in those markets. Um, it's probably supposed to be a more premium offer than what Starbucks is, but well, this is what the market is doing, and people are paying for those services because they
Right.
want the experience.
Got it. That brings me to the topic of segmentation and targeting. If you
Yes,
could explain what these two things mean, and what are some common mistakes that you've seen in your experience that companies make?
yes. The most common experience is to spread too thin.
Firstly,
Like
if you could
think,
explain the meaning of segmentation and targeting.
yes, segmentation is basically dividing your market, the market that
Hmm.
you can reach, in different groups of consumer or different groups of companies. And you can do that with different variables. I mean, it could be a geographical difference. The countries in India versus the consumers in India versus the consumers in China. So there you have two segments, but that's
Hmm.
not enough because the segments still are too large. So you can go from what is called demographic segmentation, which is basically everything that's quantifiable, everything that is measurable, directly measurable. Where you live is measurable because there's a single answer to that. How old are you? There's a single answer to that. What's your level of education? There's a single answer to that. Those
Yeah.
are your sex. Those are demographics. So you can divide your segment by demography. But that's not enough. There's a very old example in marketing that says there are two guys that live in the same city. They have the same age. They went to the same school. One listens to classical music. One listens to hard rock. So what's the difference between these two guys? If it's not demographics, because they both live in the same city. They both live in Tokyo, and they work in the same office. One goes to a theater to listen to classical music, and the other guys to a rock show. With and these are two tribes. So their behaviors is what makes these people different. So you can segment by behavior. And the third level of it of segmentation is by aspiration. How these people want to be perceived by others. How they want to be perceived by their peers, how they want to be perceived by their neighbors, how they want to be perceived by their friends. That's aspiration. It may not be real. It may not be real, but you want to be perceived as somebody that for instance, let me give you a real life example. There's a very famous sneakers brand called Salomon. Salomon is a French company. It used to be a company. It is a company that specializes in products for the outdoors. If you go to the mountains, if you do trekking, if you do hiking, if you do camping, you are very well supposed to be wearing Salomon sneakers. They're sport shoes are very good. Salomon was such a successful company that was acquired by Adidas, but that's a different story. Salomon discovered that there's a lot of people that don't go to the outdoors. They have never been out there, but still they want to wear these sneakers because they are cool, because they want to be perceived as cool. Because I I've seen many people wearing these sneakers that are very technical. They're designed for you to be able to run in the mud. And you see many people walking the streets, this cement streets of ours, and wearing these Salomon sneakers. And I question, how much of the market for Salomon comes from people that want to be cool wearing these sneakers, and how much of the market comes from real users. Well, if you look how the products in Salomon's lineup have evolved, they have more market from people willing to
Mm.
be perceived as outdoorsy. They have more market there than real outdoor users, because if you look at their lineup, they have like 10 sneakers. Maybe there are two or three that are very specific for outdoor use, and the rest are they're just cool sneakers. So this is how people want to be perceived. And if you look at the price point of these sneakers, they are very well above 100 euros or $100. Let's put it that way. So they're very expensive. They're very
Right.
expensive. They're wildly expensive. People pay that. Why? Because they want to be perceived as cool, as sportsy, as outdoorsy. That's on the aspirational side. That's not behavioral. It's not demographic. It's how people want to be perceived, and people are willing to pay so that they're perceived as as cool.
That's the
The same
third layer
happen.
of segmentation.
That's the level of variables that you can take into account to do a segmentation. You can
Okay.
segment by demography, you can segment by behavior, you can segment by aspiration. And now, if we talk about tribes, you can also include variables like language, like who their idols are, who what's the language that they have, who are their spokesperson. So you can
Mm.
include many variables to make your definition of your segment a more interesting one. Now, what is the difference between a segment and a target? It's very simple. A segment is a description of a market available for your company. Target is the market that you decided to work with. Okay, you can
If you could
have,
repeat.
yes, let's imagine you have a segment in Mumbai, and then you have a segment in New Delhi. But then you start your business in New Delhi. So your target is New Delhi. There is a
Mhm,
segment in Mumbai, but you're not addressing it because the target is the segment that you decide to work with.
mm,
Is a segment that you decide to start operating at. That's a very simple difference between a segment and a target. They're the same, but they separate in the moment that you decide to start working with it. Okay, that's uh, the technical difference between target and segment.
got it. And so we were going to discuss about some common mistakes in segmentation and targeting.
One of the common mistakes is spreading too thin, go into different segments at the same time, and say, I can go to all these segments and be efficient in all of them.
Hmm.
So if you spread too thin, you will probably have a competitor doing it better than you will at a specific market. Um, so the question of spreading too thin or being strong competitor at a
Hmm.
target is really a one by one case. You need to look at it. If you understand how specific companies have grown very much, incredibly much, by focusing on a specific target and being strong in the market. Let's talk about Uniqlo, for instance. Uniqlo is a company that I love. It's a Japanese company. They do very simple in terms of design, clothing. They do jeans, they do t-shirts, they do some shirts, some polos, some underwear, some athletic apparel. But you look at it, and their strategy is price. They're very,
Hmm.
very competitive in terms of pricing, um, and they have a very nice what is called value. I don't charge you much for my products, but they're very high quality. They're of a relative very high quality. Let me give you an example. They have a sweater, um, which is supposed to be made, and I have to believe them, in Kashmir. Kashmir is one of the best wools there is out there in the market. Kashmir comes from India, Kashmir comes from China, Kashmir comes from Mongolia. They are pricing 100 euros or $100 for each Kashmir sweater. If you go online,
Uniqlo.
Uniqlo,
Okay.
it's a killing price for a Kashmir product.
Right.
If you go to online and you check for alternatives, which I did, just as I was curious because of this
Hmm.
conversation that I'm gonna tell you about. I found that most Kashmir sweaters were running around $300. That's the average price on the internet. And yet, I was talking to a person, a marketing person working for an Italian apparel company, which is called Brunello Cucinelli, and they sell their cashmere sweaters for $3,500. That's 35 times more than Uniqlo does. So I smiled and I said, "Your product is really expensive." And she says, "Well, we make our cashmere sweaters with just the wool that comes from the neck of the goat, just that, because that's the finest product that there is." And I said, "You do have a market, obviously, for that. Yes, people that are very upscale in terms of their income. These are all very rich people. I was talking to them about the price of the product and if there was a market. And she said,
Hmm.
these are products that are used to the highest quality products. They want to be seen as people that buy the latest in terms of fashion. And we're talking here about football players, politicians, actors, and business people. So, how does Uniqlo get to $100 product when the average price is around 200 to 300? And when there is a market for $3,500, because you can see there's a whole range of alternatives for just one sweater, one cashmere sweater. Well, Uniqlo does that. They are mass. They have a very interesting quality in terms of the price that they're charging. The same happens with their coats. Their winter coats. They run around $70 to $100. So from a price perspective, they're really really interesting, and people love that, and they cannot stop growing. If you need something of a little higher quality, they don't have it. If you
Hmm.
want something with a little better design and coloring, they don't have it. It's gonna be white. It's gonna be black. It's gonna be simple.
Right.
Their strategy is so clear. I want maybe they have some differences and some variety in the t-shirts that they sell. They have some t-shirts based on their Japanese heritage, but they're just a few t-shirts. On a nutshell, they just sell basic clothing for everyday wear, for your office, for your school, and that's their target. They don't go outside of it. They grow by adding new places, new stores, and you can check on their website, and then you find that they're coming to Europe, they're coming to London with a very large store downtown. They have many, by the way. They
Hmm.
started in Madrid, downtown Madrid, with a huge store. People are flocking to their store, but their strategy is very clear. Is If you ask me, it's a little narrow. It's a little narrow, but who can question their success? So, number one mistake is spreading too thin, thinking that you can be good at many things and not taking into account who are you competing against in all these different segments, and who you need to beat. Once you're good with a specific market, you can grow within that market internationally. And that's something very interesting from the stages, which is globalization. I mean, you can grow basically all over the world. We're talking here about a US company, we're talking here about a Japanese company. In the book, I talk about Oakley, which is a US manufacturer, sunglasses manufacturer, but they were acquired by an Italian company, which is Luxottica. Um, and you have also Brazilian companies like Havaianas. Havaianas specializes in flip flops. Is that a narrow target? It is. It's just flip flops. Flip flops can be bought anywhere in the world. They can be manufactured anywhere in the world. But yet, whenever you buy a flip flop from Havaianas, which are sold basically all over the world, you are buying also in your mind the Brazilian beach experience, the Brazilian vibe with these flip flops. And they have a very nice store, their largest um, flagship store in downtown Sao Paulo, Brazil, with art and with all this vibe related to their flip flops. And from a marketing perspective, I say this is genius. It's just a flip flop. Are they narrow? They are, but they're very successful. So take those examples into account and be successful with a specific target, with a specific product, and from there we will see. We will see how it goes. Um, Today, Adidas and Nike are having problems. These two companies are having problems. Why are they having problems? Because there are new competitors coming into the footwear market with more successful strategies for their tribes, for their segments. There's a Swiss company called On. Was developed by a guy. He was a triathlon runner. He decided to put hoses, the garden hoses on the sole of his footwear. So he put one, two, three, four, 10 garden hoses on the foot of this. And he started testing that concept and he loved it. And he said, I have something here that nobody has ever done. Today, they are the successful story in the footwear market, challenging Adidas and challenging Nike. How could that happen? I think Adidas and Nike spread too thin. They went to different markets and they were not good enough in specific segments that do require new strategies, a lot of investment in market research, because there's a market out there. When sneakers are sold at 160 euros per pair. Let me say that again, 160 euros per pair. They can stop people from buying them. Today, there's a lot of people that buy them just because they're cool. The same story with Salomon. But yet, these small companies, which are stopped being small, are challenging Nike's and Adidas' growth because they are spreading a little too thin. What will probably happen is that either Nike or Adidas will buy On and put it into their their holding of companies, like they did with Salomon, like they did with Reebok. The question is, where is Reebok today? The question is, where is Salomon today? Well, that's a different story. And I think one of the things that happen is that they lose, once they're bought by these giants, they lose their edge.
Mm.
But spreading too thin is something that has to be measured with market research. As we said, market research is very
What has to
important.
be measured?
How well are you serving your target? You
Okay.
know, do you have a winning product? Let me give you another story. In the footwear, you know that I have some experience, or a lot of experience. By the way, I don't have to be humble. In the sports retail world, and I'm a runner myself, so that I can get the two things together. There's a small company called Hoka 11. Hoka was funded by a group of people coming from Solomon, and they basically thought Solomon is developing their footwear based on the demands of 20 somethings, people young enough to run and be around 20 something year olds. But there's a huge market in the 40 somethings that run over the weekend, and they need something else. They need more cushioning because their knees, our knees, are not as good as the 20 something. So they come up with a sneaker with a sole this big. It was a massive success. The company was sold 2 or 3 years later after it was created. Um, so the founders made some $1 million, and today is part of the Tiva Group. And this is one of the companies that are denting the prestige and the profitability of companies like Nike, because they lost track of what their customers were looking for. You know, if they lost track that there was a 40 something runner, which are the most if you look at the running clubs, most of the people are above 30. Um, so if you serve that group of customers well, you are going to do better, and you're gonna be charging them $160. 10 years ago, $160 for a sneaker was kind of insane. Nobody thought it would be possible. Today is the reality because of the technology these sneakers have, because of all the marketing expenditures that the sneakers have, many reasons. Um, so those are real life stories of companies that have decided to focus in a target and have decided to serve these targets very efficiently and bring the best to this market, to this very specific market.
Right. Got it. Now let's discuss motivation theories that you discuss in your book. It includes
Yes.
Freudian concepts. So how do businesses use psychological insights to tap into what drives consumer decisions?
Um, in order to give you a simple answer in this time frame, I will say that there are two theories that are very important today. One is Maslow's pyramid. This is a very old theory. It was written last century. What basically he says is that we have like a pyramid of needs, and your basic need is survival. You know, this is the
Right.
first need that the person has. But as time passes and you take care of those needs, you evolve in the needs that you are looking for. You know, eventually, the top of the pyramid is prestige. So you have forgotten about eating, basically, getting dressed, but you look at people, you look at products and services that not only do this, but also give you prestige. Let me give you an example. If you buy a Uniqlo jean, you are basically looking for a nice, dependable, um, not too expensive pair of jeans. The pyramid of Maslow means that you are shooting for the lower part of the
Right.
pyramid. There is a market that has already done that in the past because they have already worked out that need and would like to have prestige in the jeans that they use. So there are brands like Diesel. This is an Italian brand that will charge you around $200 for a jean, and I'm probably a little down in terms of pricing because the user of that gene not only wants to have their basic need covered, but also they need prestige. They need to show off and tell you,
Hmm.
Nakul, I've made it in life. I've made
Right.
it so much that I can spend $200 on a gene or
Hmm.
$400 on a gene. So if you look at the market and you say, I'm a small company, I can go after the prestige market. Well, what do I have to do in order to comply with that prestige uh, image and personality? And what these people, the ones that look for prestige, what are the brands they buy? Where do they buy? How often do they buy? What type of product do they buy? If
Hmm.
I'm going to the lower part of the pyramid, I will probably have to be a very large mass producer of jeans in order to be profitable because you are going to need to sell many jeans, many jeans. So these are called niche products, the ones that go after
Hmm.
prestige. The stock market usually doesn't like much this type of products because what gives you prestige this year may be different next year. But
Correct.
that's the strategy, to be on top of the wave. So that's Maslow's theory of the evolution or the growth of human needs and how people are being taken care of those needs. And then let me let me let me base the answer to Freud on economic theory. Economic theory basically based on the model where the higher the price, the lower the demand. The whole structure of economy is based on the curve. It's not a curve, it's an X, where you increase the price, you sell less. So ideally, the equilibrium is at a point where these two axes meet. Reality is there's there's rarely a straight line where you increase your prices and you sell less. If you take the vodka market, you will find that it's completely different. It's the more expensive. I mean, it gets to a point that demand lowers, of course. But if you think of brands like Absolute, which is probably the largest selling vodka in the world, it's not an inexpensive vodka, not at all. It's a medium price vodka. It goes around $15 to $20. It depends on the market, but there are vodkas for $5 in every single market around the world. Do they sell more? I I would say that no. It depends on the market, but globally, Absolute is the leader. It's the largest selling vodka in the world. What do they what do they sell? Where Freud said that we're interested in Freud not for clinical perspectives or ethical perspective. We're only interested in Freud in terms that people have certain wills based on some sexual aspects of the personality. They want to follow their their behavior based on some issues that are not necessarily rational, but they're very subconscious based on what I just said. Being recognized in the market, being recognized by people. Um, they want to look nice to men, want to look nice to women. Women want to look nice to women and men. I mean, these are all based on the aspirations of people. So we took Freud to define that aspiration is very important, and it's probably more important than price. So we break away from the economic theory, and we are more based on the psychological theory that people want to be
Hmm.
perceived as successful more than anything else. I mean, you can be not successful, yet you want to be successful. There's a theory that's basically called keeping up with the Joneses. Keeping up with the Joneses mean the Jones are your neighbors next door,
Hmm.
and you want to keep up with them because if they go on holidays to Hawaii, wait, they go to Hawaii and I go to a town 100 miles from here. What's wrong with me? What did I do wrong that I cannot afford to go to Hawaii? And they're going to Hawaii. So the whole structure of keeping up with what other people do is very important in marketing. We use that mind structure of people, and this is not an ethical dilemma. This is not an ethical discussion. It may be, but we want to be as successful as my friends are. You want to be as successful as your neighbors next door are. What's interesting is that you need to know that this is a fool's game. This is something
Right.
that's not interesting for you to follow every single trend because you're gonna be broke. That's
Hmm.
in a nutshell. That's that. But from a marketing perspective, we want to tell people this is what successful people in your group are doing. Don't miss out. Don't be left aside. Everybody's going on holidays to Brazil. Go to Brazil because everybody's going. So we
Fear
are
of missing
going.
out.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. The fear of missing out, or the fear of failure. You are buying a brand that nobody else is buying, so move out of that trend. I hope I
Correct.
could explain.
Examples and concepts. Now, I want to talk about a few practical steps that one can take to understand customers better, but mainly for small businesses. So, if I'm running a small business, I don't have the budget to spend so much on, buying large sets of data or running large campaigns. So, what can
Yeah,
small businesses do? Any practical steps that they can take to understand their customers better?
I think you need two things. One is hire somebody to help you with the strategy of your business. Somebody
So,
that will help you.
consultant.
Yes, because you need somebody that will help you with marketing research. And because you will probably need somebody to help you get all this data from the internet. It has to be somebody it doesn't have to be part of your team. You can definitely outsource that service, and these people are
Hmm.
going to give you a lot of data on your segment and your market, how your market is doing, what's the quality of your service, what are your clients telling about you. I mean, are you in Google? People are rating the service of your company. Are you calling the ones that are not satisfied to understand why are not they satisfied? What is going on that is not going wrong? I mean, you need to have solid data about your business. So you need somebody to help you with that part of the business, somebody to help you with business strategy. Because what normally happens is that smaller businesses don't have the know-how to get that data on their own. It's not difficult. It really is not. But I'll probably say that because I do that, from a from a consultant perspective. It's not that difficult, really. It is not. But you need some help if you haven't done that in the past. And the second thing you need to do is get somebody to help you with your communication strategy on the social media. Please have that person follow a strategy. Because normally these guys have their book and they know how to communicate, and probably they're successful with restaurants, and you are a psychologist. You have to be very careful that whomever helps you with digital marketing, with social media, they follow your strategy.
Hmm.
They need to follow a strategy. If they're successful in a different business, sometimes they won't apply the same recipe to your business. I was successful with a chain of restaurants, so you are a psychology. I'm going to be applying the same strategy. No, think it
Hmm.
over, because your strategy will probably be 100% different. So that's the point where um, you stop being a witch and start being a scientist. You know,
Correct.
get data in place. Who is the spokesperson that is reliable for a psychologist versus a spokesperson that is reliable for a restaurant? They are different. What they have to say is different. What's the If you are already thinking about celebrations in your business, celebrations for a restaurant are different from a celebration for a psychologist. 100% different. The spokesperson is different. The language is different. The dress code is different. So once you have your strategy in place, have somebody help you with digital marketing, and have this digital marketing agency help you with the data. They don't have to run free, because I've found so many digital companies with one group of recipes for business. So they want to apply the same recipe to everybody. I do this for a brand of a car brand. So I'm going to be applying the same strategy because it's successful. It's a car. You are an architect. It's a different ballgame. So as a business person, you had a group of architects, you had a group of psychologists, you are taking care of a group of a medical center, you name it. You have to have your strategy in place, and it has to be different from anybody else's. So these are two basic things to have in place in order to be successful with a solid marketing strategy based on consumer behavior.
Got it. All right. So now, moving on to the last question for the podcast. What is one key piece of advice that you'd like to give to marketers or business owners who are looking to leverage consumer behavior effectively?
Learn to use SurveyMonkey.
Okay.
SurveyMonkey. SurveyMonkey is a miracle. I love SurveyMonkey. I don't have any relationship with the company. I don't have any vested interest in them. I just teach my students how to use this tool. They normally like Google Forms better because it's free,
Hmm.
and I say, go ahead and do it. Because I have them test work for companies that they bring to our class, and SurveyMonkey has a base of features that are free, but most of the features that they have are paid for. So Google Forms, I mean, you can get the idea from SurveyMonkey, but then use Google Forms and make your learn to make your surveys. You can distribute those surveys online. You can even pay people to answer those questions. Normally, there's a lot of people that reply your questions without having to be paid. That they are
Right.
nice enough to answer. Get the information from Google related to customer experiences. Every single store has to be on Google, and so Google will ask people immediately after they leave your office, your store, your retail location. Google will ask you, how was your service? And people
Right.
answer, I loved it, I hated it. Follow that. That's golden, and it's free. You
Correct.
need to use it, because that's the feedback. If you look at marketing's definition, and I start my classes with that. If you look at marketing's definition, it says that marketing is a process. So I have my students think what a process is. Well, a process has a beginning and an end, and I don't want to bore you with that. But basically, if it is a process, it has a point of control. It definitely has a point where you control that everything has been done according to your strategy. Well, that's data. That's Google asking people, how was your restaurant? How did you like it? Well, I liked the food, but the service was terrible. Well, that's golden information, because that will help you define a strategy and improve your business. That's golden. So that will be a very strong advice. You don't need a SurveyMonkey for that, of course. SurveyMonkey will help you with other things,
For
but
what?
it's
Sorry, Survey Monkey will help with what?
SurveyMonkey can help you with your pricing strategy.
Okay.
SurveyMonkey can help you with helping you design what the new product should bring, what your new product should be. You have options, and you say, I have product A, B, and C. Let me test what is the one that is more interesting for people. I would like to test their pricing alternatives. I can test concepts in SurveyMonkey. You can do that with Google Forms. You can. Definitely you can. But in Google Forms, it's like a Lego. You know, you have all the pieces and you have to put it all together. SurveyMonkey has some of the Lego parts already put in place, so
Okay.
it's it's easier for you to do it. But you have to pay for that.
Right.
Um,
Correct. So I think the in the end, the main message would be to do surveys effective. Use the method effectively.
yes, it's a great time today that we can have the possibility of doing market research efficiently, inexpensively, and quickly. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Correct.
It's I mean, this is one of the greatest things that the internet has brought to us. Let's do it.
That's right. Well, thank you so much, Pablo, for
No
sharing
problem. It was a
great
pleasure.
insights in the world of consumer behavior. And we hope to have you again to talk about different fields of
Anytime.
marketing. And
Anytime. It's a pleasure for me too.
all the best for your book that's coming soon, Consumer Behavior Essentials. So,
Thank you very
audience,
much.
stay tuned for that.